Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good Tuesday News Day. We're covering all that good and positive news today. So I hope you're ready to feel good about humanity, at least for now, or maybe be a little jealous of some people's luck with rocks, for example. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we've started. And we haven't had any caffeine, though Roger did pull out a can of root beer, so we're definitely hydrated.
Cream soda.
Oh, sorry, cream soda. A&W cream soda, not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but if it were sponsored, I would say A&W, the one cream soda I could actually find. Anyway,
Alright. Anyways, let's get started with our news stories with our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. Rescued from war-torn Ukraine. Traumatized lions settle in forever home in the UK.
And good morning, it's April Fool's News Day. But our stories are going to be real. We're not going to try to fool you. We're not like that. Oh, we are, but not this occasion. Alysa Liu is surprised as anyone to win world title and come back from retirement, and a rock used as a doorstep for decades found to be worth over $1 million.
Wow. Growing old can be lonely. A group of 90-year-olds turned it into a podcast.
That's the way to fade out in glory right there, huh? Other good news on Good Tuesday News Day. Growing and sharing seeds can boost mental health, and we're going to talk about the quantum computer breakthrough that's going to make us all so prosperous.
For culture news, the man who became God, Eric Clapton, turned 80 on Sunday.
If you want to get down in the ground. Anyway. And today, it's National Tomfoolery Day. So if your name is Tom, knock that shit off. It's April 1st, 2025 on Before Coffee. We're going to be dead serious today. I can't wait for the terrible headlines or the viruses that are to get launched. Don't click on any suspicious emails today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all my stories are from last week or a couple days ago, because I did not trust any stories published on April 1st. I'll read them tomorrow, okay? Because there will be a headline saying this isn't real, but only tomorrow. Yeah.
Bigfoot elected president of Greenland. Oh, that's a good story.
He'll protect Greenland with his army of Yetis, yeah.
Trump nominates alien baby to ambassadorship. Sounds like a real story.
Does sound like a real story. Let's roll our segue wheel for this first segue. We've got you. What are we giving you? Reminds me of a song.
Woo-hoo.
And we're going to talk about lions, so I'm sure there's songs about lions.
We need a Homer Simpson button that says,
okay,
woo-hoo.
Well, I'll get that one. I'll add that one during your story, okay?
Okay, you're welcome.
It'll be very easy. I know how to do it. Anyways, let's start with the first story off of The Independent by Kirsty Wigglesworth. Some lions have been rescued from Ukraine, and they found their forever home. 5 traumatized lions rescued from the Ukrainian war zone have found a new home at a sanctuary in England, following an international rescue effort. The lions, a male African lion, Rory, and a lioness, Amani, Lira, Vanda, and Yuna, endured harrowing experiences near the front lines of the conflict. They arrived at the Big Cat Sanctuary near Ashford, Kent, after a 12-hour journey from temporary shelters in Belgium. The lions' individual stories paint a grim picture of neglect and abandonment. I mean, yeah, there's a war going on. Sometimes you gotta choose yourself for the lions. Yuna was confined to a small brick cell and suffered shell shock after missile debris landed near her enclosure. Rory was mistreated in a private menagerie. Amani and Lyra were likely bred for tourist photo opportunities as cubs. Vonda was found severely malnourished after spending her life confined to an apartment. You know what? Yeah, I just have a pet lion in my apartment. Don't worry about it. All these 5 lions were originally from illegal...
You're lying!
Yeah. That's a bad pun. All of these 5 lions were originally from the illegal pet trade and wildlife trade, explained Cameron Whitnall, managing director of the Big Cat Sanctuary. None of them came from zoos. The sanctuary's new lion rescue center, which officially opens opened today on April 1st, provides a safe haven for rescued animals. The center offers a specialized care and chance for lions to recover from their traumatic experiences. The lions were saved by Wild Animal Rescue Center, run by Natalia Popova, a Ukrainian woman who has saved hundreds of abandoned pets and zoo animals since Russia's full-scale invasion in 22 of February. Lions, tigers, leopards, wolves, deer, monkeys, and more have passed through her shelter, a converted horse stable near Kyiv. Hundreds have been sent abroad for treatment and recovery. And then there's a picture of Cameron Whitnall with Yuna, the abused. I think Yuna was the lion that was kept in an apartment. Oh no, Yuna was the one who was in a brick cell and suffered from shell shock. So there's a picture of Yuna kind of thrashing out angrily because of course she doesn't trust human beings. She's going through trauma.
Right. Or anything, you know.
Yeah. Mr. Whitnall was determined to bring the 5 lions to Britain even though the sanctuary had nowhere to put them. A fundraising campaign launched in May 2024 raised more than £500,000 for these lions. Wow, to cover the cost of transportation, veterinary care, and building a new home for cats. Staff say that they are adapting well to their enclosures, which have been designed around each lion's individual needs. Yuna and Rory have coordination issues, yet gently landscape environments where they can't fall from a height, while sisters Amani and Lyra have trees to climb. Vonda, the most playful and confident of the lion, has an enclosure that includes a water feature. Ooh, can play in some water. I'm sure it's a bit of a journey. We've got more to do, but they are taking everything so incredibly well. Brittany Smith, who looks after the animals, said, "You can already tell that there's an improvement in their care and their welfare, and the way that they feel about that." Mrs. Smith and Mr. Whitnall are still getting to know their 4 newest charges. They've already formed a strong bond with Yuna, who had never been on grass until she was rescued. "She could barely walk," Mr. Whitnall said. "She was suffering from shell-shocking and concussion. She was so severely bad that they were actually going to euthanize her. But we managed to step in and get her out of the war zone, and she's just come in leaps and bounds since here on the sanctuary. We're so happy with her progress. She's a beautiful lioness now, no longer emaciated." What? They never really said anything about I guess Yuna is kind of the star save, right? The Vanda and Amini and Lyra, they're doing just fine. And of course, Rory the lion, I guess he's just hanging out, being a chill dude, because that's how male lions usually are. They're just hanging out, being chill. And the Dogman too commented on this article saying, "Wonderful! What incredible people!" And I agree. It takes a lot to raise money, and all those people who donated money as well. Donated around £500,000 to save these lions in Ukraine. And
amazing.
I'm a little vengeful, and I wish the people who put these lions in these situations, could be paid for their crimes, but they might not even be found, right? They could be dead under rubble somewhere or ran away. They're Russian oligarchs or something else.
What was their sinister Lex Luthor-like plan anyway?
Make money off of lions and profit, buy lion, get lion, profit, ? That was their plan.
Reminds me of a song.
What song?
Oh, you know this one. You want to start it? You
Sure.
can start it if you want. All you gotta do is start going, a wee moa, a wee moa, a wee moa.
That's in the jungle, the mighty jungle.
No, I'm supposed to stop. Wait, you gotta do the wee moa stuff.
Okay,
the wee
sorry.
moa, and
I'll do the wee moa. Okay, sorry. I'll get it starting now. A wee moa, 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 a wee moa.
There you go. Hey, we're a band.
I think the desync wasn't good, but it's all in the spirit.
We're ready to take it on the road. Well, it's not bad for live. It's not bad for improv.
Oh, right.
Anyway, there's a song. The lion sleeps tonight, in case you don't know.
And he sure does. And all of them, hopefully, are sleeping nice and sound in the UK where it rains every day. They're probably like, wow, I'm sure Ukraine weather was nice. All right, let's roll the segue wheel for me. Tell me the wheel. What will you wheel? I can look at the wheel because I know where it is on the screen. Alliteration headline. Right. Your story time.
All right. This ought to be easy. It's about figure skating. And this is a comeback story, and they're always great. How do you like to make a comeback at 19? From USAtoday.com. I actually watched this. This is a very inspiring performance the other night. Alysa Liu. Yes, figure skating. I watch everything. And this is why I watch sports, for these type of stories.
You consume everything that happens. That's why you never sleep.
Reality show, and the reality shows are actually not reality shows because the producers are behind the scenes going,
no,
let's start a fight between those two. But actual sports is actual reality because there's injuries, there's drama, there's human compassion, whatever. I mean, this is a really good story.
There's people getting their legs broken by their boyfriend so that they can win the...
There's a Tanya Harding saga with Nancy. Anyway, this is a good news story. Good news day. Alysa Liu is surprised as anyone to win world title and come back from retirement. That's right, she retired at 16. Alysa Liu announced her retirement from figure skating. She was only 16, but strangely made sense. In the early mornings, the rigorous training, the unrelenting pressure, the moments of her childhood she was missing, it was time for her to do something else. She had become the youngest U.S. women's champion ever at 13. Then she won a national title again at 14. She was so tiny that the skater she defeated had to pull her up to the top rung of the medal podium. At 16, she competed in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, finished sixth. She won the bronze medal in 22 World Championships a month later. Then soon afterward posted on Instagram, she was done with the sport. I'm going to be moving on with my life, Liu wrote. Flash forward to Friday night, March 28th, 2025. Liu, now 19 and unretired, sailed through her triple jumps as if without a care in the world. In her fourth 4-minute-long program, delivering a breezy, delightful, and whimsical performance, to become the first U.S. woman in 19 years to win the World Championship, with the 2026 Winter Olympic Games a little more than 10 months away. Just what the hell, Liu said when she was done, laughing as she perfectly summed up one of the most remarkable comeback stories in her sports history.
Just what the hell? Yeah, there
Skaters
you go.
don't
exactly.
just disappear, reappear, and then win world titles, but that's exactly what Liu just did. Even yesterday, I didn't expect this, she said, referring to holding the lead after Wednesday's short program. I didn't have expectations coming in. I never have expectations coming into competitions anymore. It's more of what I can put out performance-wise, and really met my expectations of that part today. She was competing with a newfound freedom, given a second chance at the sport and the life she loves. She cartwheeled through the entry walkway. She cartwheeled through the entry walkway before taking the ice for a short program. And it's emphasized, she cartwheeled. And she did it again Friday night when her name was called for the medal ceremony. In this pressure-packed sport where one stumble in the slippery ice can ruin the dreams of a lifetime, few, if any, had handled their nerves better than Liu did here over the past 3 days. It was noticeable to her competitors. I feel like her cheerfulness, her kindness, and the way she always so happy brought her to this position on the top of the podium, said 3-time defending champion Kaori Sakamoto of Japan, who finished second. In fact, I would say something has changed because she's more bright. She's happier now. In fact, the first person I congratulated her was the 3-time defending champion. And the time she was away from skating, Liu attended UCLA and did things she never was allowed to do when she was competing, like going skiing for the first time. Trying out a new sport ended up rekindling her love for her first one, so about a year ago she began practicing again, hoping to get back into skating shape. Whatever her goal was, it definitely wasn't this. She became the first American woman to win the world title since Kimi Meisner in 2006, But there's a difference in the timing and significance of those titles. Meisner won hers a month after the Olympic Games, while Liu's victory leads right into the Olympic year. She has now become a medal favorite for the Milan Games, and if she were to win an Olympic medal of any color, she would become the first American woman to do so since Sasha Cohen won her silver medal in 2006, and before that, Sarah Hughes won the gold and Michelle Kwan the bronze in 2002. Whatever comes next for Liu, her fascinating and unexpected. Let's do that again. Whatever comes for Liu, it'll be both fascinating and unexpected. I have never regretted anything in my life, she said. Every decision I made, I'm so glad I did. It really brought me to this moment. A second chance at 19. Who wouldn't take that? Of course, a fascinating good news story is she was raised by her father's a Chinese immigrant. Her father's from China. And he raised 5 children by himself, a single father in San Francisco. And that was an interesting side story not mentioned in the article that they kept talking about during the competition. But there you go. You got a headline for that, or you want to, for my second installment?
Cartwheel carries champions.
Yes,
Right, she did a
cartwheel
right?
before, right? She entered. She's like, I can cartwheel like this. All right, their second story. This is from ScienceAlert.com by Michelle Starr. Rock used as a doorstop for decades found to be worth over $1 million. Man, I just swear that is just crazy. They say one person's trash is another person's treasure, but a chunko rock used to keep a door open for decades is a treasure by pretty much anybody's standards. The 3.5 kilogram or 7.7 pound stone was found in a stream bed in southeast Romania by an elderly woman who brought it home and put it to use. Her discovery turned out to be one of the biggest intact chunks of amber in the world. According to a report by El Pace? Yes, it's how it's pronounced. El Pies? Maybe it's Pies. Anyway, according to our report, its value somewhere in the region of 1 million pounds or about $1.1 million. Amber is a tree resin for millions of years. Amber is a tree resin from millions of years in the past. Over time, the highly viscous substance fossilizes into a hard, warm-hued material widely recognized as a gemstone. In Romania, pieces of amber can be found around the village of Coti and sandstone from the banks of the river Bazu, where it has been mined since the 1920s. Known as rumenite, this amber is famed and prized for its wide variety of deep reddish hues. The elderly woman who found this particular rumenite nugget lived in Coti, where it remained performing a function so humble that it was missed even by jewel thieves who once targeted the home, reports say. Wow. After the woman died in 1991, so this ain't good news for her, the relative who inherited her home suspected the doorstop might be more than meets the eye. On learning what he had, he sold the amber to a Romanian state, which had it appraised by experts in the Museum of History in Krakow, Poland. According to these experts, the amber is likely around 38 to 70 million years old. Happy birthday. It is discovered represents a great significance both at a significant scientific level and at a museum level. Daniel Kostash, director of the Provincial Museum of Bazau, told El Paz. El Pais? Okay, there you go. Classified as a national treasure in Romania, the nugget has had a home in the Provincial Museum of Bazau, the country in which the relic was found, since 2022. The discovery resembles that of a man in Michigan who kept a large piece of rock as a doorstop, only to find out decades later that he was keeping his doors keeping his doors in place was a meteorite worth $100,000. A chunk of amber worth over $1 million.
That's insane. This is insane, dude.
Yeah, meteorite. Wow, that's an unusually heavy rock, and look at how it's crystallized.
I stubbed my toe on that thing 1 million times. And I was stubbing my toe on $1 million.
Hey, chunk of bam worth $1 million isn't a bad score either. Really, just imagine how many doorstops you could buy. Who buys a doorstop? Well, let's go doorstop shopping.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a billionaire. Let me just buy a doorstop.
Let me just find something heavy to block this door from closing. Anyway, you got a headline for that, or you just... You gave up on that part. You don't have to do two.
Oh. Alliteration can... Yeah, okay.
How ambitious you are, how many points you want to score. Because we're going to add these up at the end. And
how many points? Not a point system. Let's go with rock, wrecked, wallet.
That's not even close to it. Wallet starts with a W.
No, I said wallet. Whatever are you saying?
Wrecked starts with a W. It sounds the same.
Yeah, but alliteration is sound-based, not written. It's a homophone based. As long as it's the same noise coming out of your mouth.
D- there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to put the Homer sound effect. I'll do it on the next story. Alright, let's roll your wheel. I need to find a Homer sound effect. Alright, we've got the good old... Didn't tell me what it was. Oh no, I didn't see it. Oh, metaphor and simile. Metaphor and simile.
Alright, metaphor and simile.
Okay. Next story is coming out about old people. This is by Jennifer Hauser, Cecilia Dominguez, and Angelica Frangaleon Diaz. That's a lot of people who wrote this article on CNN. Living past 90 comes with a unique kind of loneliness. There's so much to share from a lifetime of experience, but a dwindling number of confidants on the average non-Nigerian outlives their friends, spouses, and loved ones. In Argentina, some seniors are turning into podcasts to share their stories instead. Last year in the 90s, this is not even just 90-year-olds, 97, that's almost 100. 97-year-old Alberto Cha posted a video online from his home in Buenos Aires with the help of his granddaughter, calling for others around his age to unite and talk about what's going on in their lives. Over 1,000 people responded, stunning Chab and his family. The little video created a tsunami, 1,500 emails. I mean, that was real need for people, for seniors, to get together and talk to each other. I touched on a very necessary point, which is why people from all over Latin America wrote to me, even from Canada, Chab told CNN. His idea also got the attention of someone much younger, a 26-year-old journalist, Guadalupe Camarati, who knows just the platform for a rousing conversation that people around the world might want to tune into. From the first time I saw them, I was kind of excited.
Sorry.
Very. It touched me, he told CNN. I said to Alberto that people who were there, this has to be done digitally. For me, we have to make a podcast. Said the straight guy. I guess I can't say he's a white guy, but it's very, I'm young, let's make a podcast. It's been like kind of the meme about podcasts currently. That's how the podcast 90 and Counting was born. Seniors discuss anything from doing the tango to healthy habits, to affection and ways of connecting. Many of the clips are shared on the 90 and Counting Instagram page. The first post was shared in August last year, so they've been almost going for a year now. Chab now meets with fellow seniors every 2 weeks to toss around podcast topics. Sitting in a conference room, he tells his comrades to just say everything that comes to mind. It's never going to be absurd because whatever happens to one of us, having a car crash, going to the eye doctor, a similar situation will arise for the other. He starts every meeting with one topic. The one he chose when he met the group was the unconscious, and he moderates the ensuing debate. The idea is to make the group think about how they connect the topic with their ordinary lives. Welcome to Noventa y Contando, 19 Counting, Nelita, age 94, says in the video introduction to the podcast posted to social media, I'm very happy with everything I've accomplished with my life and friends, those who are still alive. Another Instagram clip shows a woman riding a bicycle. I'm 85. I've finally accomplished my dream of traveling, she says. My granddaughter helped me travel through volunteer work. In Argentina, it is very difficult for me to retire and travel. I went to Spain and England. We don't need to look at age, only our will to do things. 19 Counting's first season started in 2024, and season 2 is now being produced. There's a regular cast of 5 men, 5 women, and Alberto, but they don't always appear in the same episodes together. They typically choose one member of the group to talk with Chob and a certain topic. For example, Mabel once chose to discuss the women with him, with Camarati moderating the discussion. Some of the topics they discussed are related to things that either don't exist anymore or have changed. Candy they used to eat when they were kids, drinking fresh raw milk instead of buying it at the supermarket, having someone stuff their mattresses with wool instead of buying a new one. Job thinks the podcast had a positive impact on the lives of those involved. Because of it, members of the group and listeners have more things to share with their loved ones and families. Before the podcast, they often felt excluded by society and even their own relatives because of their age, but now they have stories to tell and often feel inspired by them, he says. Our grandchildren would say, "Hi, Grandpa, how are you? How are you? Fine, fine, good, very fine." They'd get on their cell phones and talk to each other. But now they have someone participating. There are things to tell our grandchildren or children, or neighbors or friends. There are things to ask them. So re-socialization was established. A very fruitful dialogue that didn't exist before, Alberto said. Yeah, it makes sense. You kind of alienate yourself from society, right? Oh, nobody remembers back then when cars were invented or whatever. No, I know that was in the 1800s, but you know what I'm saying, right? I lived in a time where computers were not even a thought, right? Computers weren't even a thought people had.
You whippersnappers don't know what you missed.
But because of that, right, you don't really have anyone to talk to because it's just like, oh, don't mind Grandpa over there. He doesn't even understand how to turn on a computer, let alone use one, you know? It's like, actually, I do know how to turn on a computer, okay? Also, let's talk about, I don't know, trans rights or something. I want to see them talk about that in Argentina. Debate on how to live a long life and joyful life is an inevitable theme. In one 19 Counting clip, 92-year-old Mabel counsels, a trip to get to 90 is to eat healthy and love yourself. Love yourself very much. Because if you don't love yourself, you'll just die. Internally. I agree. Simple good fortune is what one former physician, Juan Carlos, credits for his longevity. I'm 97 years old and I spent 57 as a doctor. I got to 97 because God is good. I didn't do sports and I ate like a ciparita, referring to people in Argentina who appreciate fine dining and wine. Maybe that's why he lived long. Got that nice fine dining food, got that doctor money. After Shab, his new career as a podcaster means he still has much more to learn. He says with a little help from his friends, the technical aspects of podcasting are all handled by Camarati, but Alberto says he's not trying to explore the technology and even try using AI. What does he want to use AI for? What do you need AI for a podcast? I mean, I use AI a little bit to write descriptions and titles because my brain is just not, there's so many, I have to figure out a title for an episode every day, right? So here's what we talked about on the intro, right? Here's the headlines, and then it takes the headline and goes, oh, this is a good title, you know? Blah, blah, blah is 91-year-old podcaster tells everyone to use AI. No, I'm just kidding. But it does stuff like that, right? But I don't know what else they're using AI for with a podcast. You're just talking to people. But weird they entered that at the end of the article. Just ended it with, also, he wants to do AI. A very contentious subject that people don't like. But if you want to listen to some 90 years olds give you some advice, I guess you can check out their podcast, 90 and Counting, which I don't know if it's in English. It sounds like it might be, because everything in the article is in English. So, and a lot of people speak Spanish, but Argentinians speak very fast Spanish, so it's not easily understandable. So, 90 and Counting. So there you go, some positive news about old people not cutting themselves off from society.
That's right. And aging.
Love to hear it.
The aging process sometimes can be cruel. Sometimes you can age like a fine wine. There's your metaphor. Not aging.
Exactly. Especially if you drink a lot of it. Suppose you end up living to be 90, so you know.
All right.
All right, let's roll my
I did send you a
segue.
video.
Which I
I
can
did
look
send
at
you a
my
video
segue.
today, so sorry to occupy your time. Maybe you can look at Homer's
Okay.
later.
We've got a non sequitur.
On my two stories. Both of them from positive.news. So we're going to do let's do the Microsoft unveils breakthrough chip promising quantum computers in years, not decades, according to Robin Evelai. Sorry,
That's
too
so
loud?
loud.
All right.
No. I was listening to a Homer soundboard and then
That's
it
like
was
me, I
very
had my-
loud, so scared.
Going.
Yeah.
I clicked on it. I think I got to change my sound settings while I'm not talking. Microsoft unveils breakthrough chip promising quantum computers in years, not decades. Can't wait. This is from Robin Evelai from Positive.News. Microsoft has revealed a new quantum chip that could eventually lead to computers capable of solving high complex societal problems. We hope. It'll probably just make our games run better. Microsoft has revealed a new quantum chip that could eventually lead to computers capable of solving high complex societal problems. I just read the same headline twice. A groundbreaking new chip brings quantum computing within touching distance, according to its manufacturer Microsoft, potentially heralding a new era of tech-powered problem solving for some of the world's most pressing ills. At the heart of Microsoft's Majorana 1 chip is the world's first topo conductor capable of creating new state of matter which is not a solid, liquid, or gas. That's interesting. The company likens this breakthrough to the invention of semiconductors, which shrank massive computing power into tiny packages, making modern smartphones possible. Look at a picture of a chip. Microsoft believes topo conductors offers a path to building a chip with 1 million quantum bits or qubits, the basic unit of information used in quantum computing, within years rather than decades. 1 million qubits. So we're going to be using that term very soon. That thing's got a mega qubit, right? Or a teraquibit. Let's do that. A gigaquibit. That would create a similar computer with more processing power than all the world's current computers working together. There is a needed threshold for quantum computers to deliver transformative real-world solutions, such as breaking down microplastics into harmless products or inventing self-healing materials for construction, manufacturing, or healthcare, Microsoft said in a statement. There is an interesting news with a lot of promise. On Good Tuesday, here's another good news story from Alexa Phillips from Positive.News. Growing and sharing seeds can boost mental health. Do you have a non sequitur for that, or you just want to do it all at once? Guess not. Storing and sharing seeds has a clear environmental benefits, but the new findings suggest they can bring about well-being wins too. During 15 years of working on community food projects, Catherine Howell noticed something. As well as the biodiversity benefits of saving and sharing seeds, there seemed to be a positive impact on the growers themselves. To test her hypothesis, Howell set up a pilot project as part of the Gaia Foundation's Seed Sovereignty Program, which she helps to coordinate. 15 people who were experiencing challenges with their mental well-being took part, meeting fortnightly throughout 2024 in 3 groups across Middlesbrough, Stockton-on-Tees, and Hinderwell. These are all British places, I imagine. Participants produced a crop of their choice and harvested the seeds. Solutions every Saturday uplift, and you're in. Each session began. I was reading an ad. Each session began with a mental health check-in, and at the beginning and end of the course, participants were asked to score their mental well-being. Despite many facing significant challenges across the year, the average score had risen 6%, with the biggest increase in those who had felt lowest initially. One participant's score went from 2 out of 5 to 4 out of 5, which they attributed to learning something new in a friendly environment. The project was small and uptick slight, but it's backed up by a scientific studies published by Canadian researchers in December, which found that community seed saving has positive impacts on health and well-being. They said that it's the seed that makes the difference. It was the feeling of creation of an abundance. Lisa Papperell took part. She grew yard-long beans, which had been a staple of her late mother's cooking. I would watch it grow like it was my own baby, she said. Always came out with the polytunnels happy. Always came out of the polytunnels happy. What's a polytunnel though? Arthur Kathy Slack, who's
multiple tunnels.
Arthur Kathy Slack, whose new memoir Rough Patch explores how growing vegetables helped her recover from burnout and depression, was unsurprised by the connection. Sowing seeds is an act of hope, she says. Not to be overly dramatic about it, but when you're wondering whether it's worth even bothering to stick around anymore, planting a seed is like a promise to your future self. Howell continues to support the group and hopes to run another course next year. She asked participants how much the positive change is attributed to growing seed as opposed to being the group of being outside. She said, "It's the seeds that make the difference. It was the feeling of the creation of the abundance," said Howell. So there is your stories about seeds and microcomputers and, quantum computers, I should say. Combine those and ignore them and come up with a non sequitur.
Well, you know what they say. Computers are going to take over us one day. We're all living on, you were saying earlier even. We're all in a simulation. These computers are actually just, they're gonna put us in that simulation. And then we won't have to worry.
We're only as sentient as our game controllers are.
Yeah. I just added the soundboard thing now.
All right, someone go look for it.
Let me see where it is.
There you go. Right. Yeah, I see it.
Did you
well,
hear
I
it?
don't see it on my thing though. But there it is. Sorry. Got it. Right on.
Yeah. All right, let's roll for our next segue for my culture news about good old Eric Clapton, the man who became God. All right, you're also gonna have to give me a non sequitur. This is by Johannes Lohr on Merkur.de, so coming out of Germany. Eric Clapton was 21 years old when he became a god, and as his colleague Keith Richards once said, he's still trying to recover. In 1966, the words "Clapton is God" first appeared on a London Underground station. The shy, immensely talented guitarist to whom the homage was paid certainly had nothing godlike about him. He still doesn't, even today, when he's a multi-millionaire star immortalized 3 times in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this Sunday, or I guess last Sunday, because this is written on Sunday, Clapton turned 80. In retrospect, his life seems like a constant battle with demons. A battle he fought with heroin and tankards of brandy, with countless affairs, but above all with his instrument, from which he coaxed a sound that made him stand out among all guitarists. Clapton's therapy was called the blues. To say that young Eric's life was ill-fated would be a gross understatement. His mother's accident with the Canadian soldier, unheard of in prudish post-war England, she emigrated, and Eric's grandparents pretended to be his parents. He himself only found out about this when he was 9 years old. Why are my parents like 30 years older than they should be? Oh, because they're not my parents. They're my grandparents. Yeah, 9 years is when you kind of connect that. My parents are very old. My friends are always saying, your parents are really old, and you know what? There's something suspicious here. No wonder the unwanted young man could identify with the music that had been played decades earlier by desperately poor black populations in the Mississippi Delta. It was a connection between underdogs. He was particularly taken with Robert Johnson and his 12-bar ballads. Crossroad Blues became Clapton's key piece, which he would record again and again. Johnson's music expresses a fear that I have also experienced in my own life, he said. Clapton himself recognized his mother's rejection as the cause of his inability to form relationships. Not mommy issues. This was especially true when it came to women, whom he mistreated on a regular basis. You're just gonna abandon me like my mom did. Eric, there's this thing we call not bringing your old baggage to a new relationship, and he failed that epically.
Right.
Obviously, all women are the same. For example, he persistently courted Patty Harrison, the wife of his friend, the Beatle George Harrison, and dedicated the anthem Leela to her, only to seem to lose interest in her once he won her over. Typical men, am I right? Anyways, musically too, Clapton never stayed in one place for long. In the 1960s, he was an innovator, a child prodigy, but also a complex and meticulous blues purist, in whom the comparison to God triggered a mixture of arrogance and self-loathing. Oh my God, why does my life suck so bad?
Right.
That's probably what he was saying to himself. He left the Yardbirds because they were becoming too poppy for his liking, and the supergroup Cream, which I've heard of that one. That's the one I know the most with Eric Clapton, other than him being Eric Clapton, right? He was in Cream. With alpha male singers Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce, he made his best music. But above all, he learned that he didn't want to be a band leader. Yeah, I don't think he's fit for it. But the more God, Eric Clapton the God, moved to the side of the stage, the more the fans demanded his return to the spotlight. Clapton's solo career took off rapidly in the 1970s, as did his good old drug use. At his lowest point, the man who considered himself a soulmate of the black movement would, while completely drunk, shout racist tirades from the stage. Clapton was back on track after spending the 1980s as a bore in an Armani suit. The cause was arguably his greatest tragedy. His son Connor fell to his death from a New York skyscraper window. The song in his honor, Tears in Heaven, became the guitarist's biggest hit, and his performance of acoustic blues interpretations on MTV became the defining episode of the network's Unplugged series. Since then, Eric Clapton has managed his status as a living legend, mostly with dignity. Only occasionally does his old fear-mongering inner self emerge. During the coronavirus pandemic, for example, he compared the measures imposed to slavery. All right, calm down. It literally was not that bad. But I guess I'm just an introvert, Oh, we have to stay inside. Oh, what a shame. People can't bother me.
I can't make money at concerts.
It's like slavery.
Right.
He noticed side effects from his own vaccinations and reacted angrily via telegram. The propaganda said the vaccination was safe for everyone. In his specially composed song, This Has Gotta Stop, he sings pathetically, "They want my soul. You have to come and tear me down my door." He rallied against coronavirus policies on his most recent album, Meanwhile, from last fall. Clapton's behavior caused a stir. Queen guitarist Brian May called him a fruitcake, loosely translated to a nutcase. Robert Cray canceled concerts with Clapton, and even diehard fans wrote in telling him, for heaven's sake, stop acting like that. With some distance, one can hear the complex Layden's artist reaction fondly. He believed his gifted fingers were in danger. That could be enough to send your nerves flying. Meanwhile, the Washington Post speculates that Clapton actually has nerve damage in his hands and legs and is losing his hearing. He therefore wants to make as much music as possible. In his interpretation of the song Stand to Deliver, he says, "I just want to do my job, play the blues for friends." Blues is his therapist. Clapton himself says, "It's a state of being. When you find out that money, fame, and success mean nothing, what do you have left? The blues." Perhaps today, he can even laugh about God lettering. Years later, its alleged author confessed to Guitar Player magazine that in his haste when spraying the last word, he had simply forgotten the second O. Clapton is good. Who would deny that? Oh man, give him a whole. You give Clapton a whole complex from one typo, and he has a complex. Oh my God, is that who I am with these hands, with my artistry? Anyway, it's time to do some heroin. But the point of this story was not to make fun of Clapton, but to celebrate somebody who's gone through the thick of it, and he's still going, 80 years strong, even if he's a little crazy and has nerve damage in his hands. But all of us, when pushed to our limits, can say some stuff we regret, like comparing COVID to slavery.
Exactly the same.
But
that's a non-sequitur right there.
And so he's been missed. According to Night Owl 53, for me, Clapton has always been Mr. Slowhand, a brilliant guitarist.
That was his name. Slowhand.
There is your story on Eric Clapton's life.
And of course, I guess my non-sequitur would be fame. Fame is a double-edged sword.
Yep. Fame.
That's right.
It's a gaff.
It
Anyways,
brings you
that's
money,
different.
but
That's a non sequitur, totally
brings you
different
money,
song.
but a lot of
They're
unwanted
artists.
attention. Most of the attention is unwanted.
Yep.
And why am I so famous is not exactly anything anybody wants to hear about, is it?
People just like the
Right.
thing you
Nobody
made, and
wants
that's
to hear
kind of
about your
really
complaints either,
where
because
it
they
goes.
figure
Yeah.
you're on top of the world. What are you complaining about? You're on top of the world. What's wrong with you? All right, this day in history we will carry on.
Wait, let me roll my final segue here.
Download the video I sent, or link to it, or whatever.
We've got the good old haiku. I love a this day in history haiku because I can just combine like 5 different
Right.
things into a haiku.
And there's more than 5 things to do too, so that it can get too many choices maybe. We're gonna wheel back to the mists of time. And at the year 1578, English physician William Harvey, who discovered the true nature of the circulation of blood, was born in Folkestone, Kent, on this day, on April Fool's Day. 1815, Otto von Bismarck, the founder and first chancellor of the German Empire, was born. So happy birthday to Otto von Bismarck, he was a leader for quite a while. And in 1917, American composer and pianist Scott Joplin died in a mental institution in New York City. He was known as the King of Ragtime at the turn of the 20th century. Died in a loony bin. That's not a good way to go. 1918, the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force was formed. They flew airplanes. 1924, Adolf Hitler was sentenced to 5 years in prison for his role in the Beer Hall Push. He ultimately served only 9 months, during which time he wrote much of Mein Kampf, the Bible of Donald Trump. In 1930, Josef von Steinberg, their blog Engel, The Blue Angel, was released in Germany. The classic film made Marlene Dietrich a star. Marlene Dietrich. In 1945, U.S. troops landed on the Japanese island of Okinawa, where I had been. I spent 6 months there. During World War II. 1954, the United States Air Force Academy was created by the Act of Congress and was later built in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Isn't that interesting that the Royal Air Force was inaugurated on April Fool's in 1918, and in 1954, same day, April Fool's, the United States Air Force Academy was created. It was just a joke. In 1976, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne, who you never hear about, formed Apple Computer Inc. and became one of the world's leading tech companies. Ronald Wayne must have been the money guy, I'm thinking. And 1979, following overwhelming support in the national referendum, Ruhollah Khomeini declared Iran an Islamic republic and marked the end of the Iranian Revolution. It was time to take hostages. In 1984, American singer Marvin Gaye, this is terrible news, and pretty bad news. American singer and songwriter Marvin Gaye, whose notable works include the concept album What's Going On, was shot and killed by his father in Los Angeles. Yeah, that was terrible. His father was also a
jealousy?
A minister. So yeah, that's just terrible. I have no idea. There's just stupidity. They probably had issues with each other, apparently. 2001, the mid-air collision of a U.S. spy plane and a Chinese fighter jet that was tailing over the South China Sea resulted in the death of a Chinese pilot and the landing of a damaged American plane on Hainan Island, where its crew was detained for 11 days. I remember that. It was a big deal. It was a big crisis of the first George W. Bush administration, one of his first crises that he mishandled. In 2001, the Netherlands became the first country to grant equal marriage rights to same-sex couples. Way to go, Netherlands, being ahead of everybody else. 2004, Google launched Gmail, and 5 years later, the number of people using the email service surpassed 1 billion. I'm losing my voice. Excuse me.
More cream soda. Get this guy some cream
It's too
soda
much
stat.
cream soda, maybe. 2018, American television producer Stephen Baccio died at the age of 74. He was creator of such hit shows as Hill Street Blues, LA Law, and NYPD Blue. He loved the term blue in his titles. And today, more events on today. Today is April Fool's Day, celebrated with joking relationship, when practical jokes may have grown out of the medieval Feast of Fools, which was held on January 1st. And we just call the Feast of Fools this day. Nice.
I just added that one too.
Feast of Fools now is what we call the White House. So our this day, our featured event in 1999, the creation of Nunavut. That's right, created this day in 1999 by carving on a vast region from Canada's Northwest Territories. The Canadian territory of Nunavut stretches across much of the Canadian Arctic and encompasses the traditional lands of the Inuit people. So,
And 10 people live there.
Northwest Territories, or just territories up till then. There's still some portion called the Yukon Territory or whatever. Really, not a whole lot of people live there. It's a very bleak place as far as winter goes. You would have to have been Inuit to appreciate the winters there, I imagine. Feature biography is Sergei Rachmaninoff, Russian musician. Sergei was born April 1st, and that's no joke, 1873 in Oneg, Russia. He died at March 28th, 1943. This is the day he almost got to his birthday. He almost got to be 70. He missed by 4 days. But he died in Beverly Hills. But if you're going to die somewhere, at least he was in Beverly Hills, right? He made it that far at age 69. Other birthdays today: Abraham Maslow, American psychiatrist, born in 1908. 1920 is the birthday of Mifune Toshiro, Japanese actor. Also a birthday of Debbie Reynolds, born in 1932. So she's turning 93 today. She was around. And 1961 is the birthday of Susan Boyle, the Britain's Got Talent Scottish singer who knocked everybody's socks off about 10 years ago or whatever it was. Susan Boyle. And those are your days. Oh, wait. National Day calendar. Not yet. Got ahead of myself. It's National Take Down Tobacco, National Day of Action. So if you're going to stop smoking, do it today. It's National Sourdough Bread Day. It's National 1 Cent Day. Man, I got 1 cent. No, the penny, like a penny. And National Tomfooleries Day, which is, having to do with April Fools, of course.
Disconnecting. Oh, there.
It's because I opened the page that had sound. This is the SAAM Day of Action. It's the first Tuesday in April. Each year, in the first Tuesday in April, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. That's what it is today. So it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So be aware.
Oh, damn. We're very aware now.
It happens. It's terrible. Stop being scumbags. So there you are. There's your days. There's your spins of the wheel, your nonsense, your mispronunciations, and of course, all your good news for Good Tuesday News Day on April 1st, 2025, on Before Sourdough Bread.
For my haiku, we're going to talk about nation's air forces are jokes, equal marriage for the Dutch, eat sourdough bread, fool. There's your haiku.
You fool.
Is it an international day today? April 1st. No international observances from the UN, but has Roger already said, be aware of sexual assaults and keep that in your mind, and make sure you protect people. Both men and women can suffer from both things. This has been Allison here from Holland, from the Netherlands, and Roger from the west coast of the US, as we finish off another Good Tuesday. I hope you've learned a lot of great things about 90-year-olds and very expensive rocks and quantum computers, of course, and saving the lions. We will see you tomorrow for Wacky and Weird Wednesday, where we'll cover all the wacky and weird news that's been going on this week. So make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and comment down below which story made you feel like humanity is, partly good for the world. Let's go to our celebratory comeback underdog story mic drop moment. I like her,
This was in Boston,
her outfit mostly because my purple's my favorite color, but
I think this is the skate they do after they won.
Well, that's okay. She can have her victory lap too.
I think they all skate, like, for the crowd, for entertainment purposes only.
You'll need to see her dance or skate. Here we go. You always know when they're about to lead into a leap. I'm not a skater, so I don't know the terms, but wow. Oh wow, she did like a leg spread there. I really wish I knew what the terms for these things were.
I think it's because she finally just learned how to relax and not have put so much pressure on herself. It's a lot of pressure on a 13-year-old to be a U.S. champion.
Yeah.
And then repeat. Every 14, it's like, I've done.
You put your entire life into this one thing, and then you get an injury, and your life's over, in a way. That's what happened to Billie Eilish.
Are you slipping?
She wanted to be, I think she wanted to be a dancer or something, and then she got incredibly injured, and she couldn't do it anymore. That's why she made a bunch of really depressing music when she was 14. So nice.
Just skate in her hand.
Well, I wonder if it's sunk in yet.
Yay!
And I wonder what the
Congratulations
next chapter
on
is
coming back.
in the story of Alysa Liu.
Right. Wow, yeah, give her a standing ovation. They just can't, like, let her.
In my life, I think such a moment here in Boston.
It was a special night, wasn't it?
Something
Very
to be
cool.
said for coming back to skating for yourself.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.